All right. Hello, hello. Good morning, each and every one. We're going to open up with prayer, and we will move from there. Amen. Father, we thank you and we praise you. We thank you for who you are and what you are doing in each of our lives. We thank you for this time. We ask, God, in the name of Jesus, that you touch each and every presenter. We ask that you use them for your glory right now. We're praying that people will be touched, whether they're watching via Facebook or YouTube or here on Zoom. We pray that they will get an understanding and they will get clarity, and that lives will be different and life will be different. And so have your way during this time. Amen. In the mighty name of Jesus, we pray. Amen. Well, welcome to each of you who are here. We are so glad to see this time right here and what is going to actually come out of this session. This is New Kingdom Focused Global Ministries, and we are so grateful to our Dr. Shaman for putting this together and bringing this very important topic to light, because we know that, for one, this is our Women's History Month. And during this month, we really want to bring awareness. We want to bring awareness, and an awareness that's going to change the lives of those around us, to change the lives of so many who are dear to us. And so we are so grateful. We are so grateful for this time. Please, if you are watching from other platforms or even here, please share. Please share so that the word can get out. However, even after this, we're going to use certain means to continue with this, what we are going to learn in this session. And so the word will continue to get out even after this platform right here. So welcome our dear sister Amanda and our sister Lorraine to our platform here at New Kingdom Focused. And we cannot wait to hear what it is that you have to share with us today. I will see if Dr. Shaman is ready to speak first.
Good day. I'm not sure if my mic is well, but Amanda will start, and after Amanda, Lorraine will start, and hopefully Levins will join us. If not, I'll take over to address the nutritional piece. I yield my mic.
All right, sounds good. I'll go ahead and get started. Let me share my screen. Everybody. All right, everybody. So hi, my name is Amanda Fiani, and today I will be presenting on the effects of BBLs in the Black community. And just a quick disclosure, this presentation is based on peer-reviewed articles and not on any opinions at all. And so today we'll be going over the introduction, purpose, methods, some research questions, some articles, and a discussion and conclusion to wrap everything up. So a Brazilian butt lift is a specialized fat transfer procedure that augments the size and the shape of the buttocks without the usage of implants. Excess fat is removed from specific areas. The fat is then purified and then strategically injected into the buttocks to give the patient increased volume and improved shape. Individuals typically seek out this surgery for a number of reasons. People may want to help their clothes fit their body more attractively and give a more youthful shape to flat buttocks. But for some, it's the social pressure to keep up and emulate trends. There's been a general shift towards emphasizing curves and fullness in the buttocks area, which is why women, specifically Black women, sought out this procedure more and more. There is a societal pressure for Black women to look a certain type of way. It's evident in our movies, our music, and it can have a negative impact on Black women that might not look this expected way. The stereotype that Black women must be curvy or voluptuous by nature can cause the women that don't fit into this ideal image to feel less attractive or desirable. And it can lead them to seek out this surgery simply based on body dysmorphia rather than the personal drive to do the surgery for themselves. And there's a lot of misinformation out there about BBLs from social media and fitfluencers, aka fitness influencers, extreme claims, one size fits all advice, and marketing to women about a surgery that involves a lot more than meets the eye. These claims have led to a culture of unrealistic body standards, a general focus on aesthetics over functionality, and a negative impact on the mental health of Black women in the community. So what's the purpose of this study? So there's been a rise in popularity of the BBL surgery throughout recent years due to societal shifts in beauty standards for women. Women approach the surgery with a lack of knowledge and facts, leading to ROI results and lasting psychological implications. This study aims to examine the physical, psychological, and social effects of the BBL procedure within the Black community, exploring its impact on health outcomes, body image, self-esteem, and cultural perceptions of beauty. There has been a general shift towards emphasizing curves and fullness in the buttocks area, which is why women have looked out for this treatment more and more. This can lead to a dissatisfactory mindset when the surgical results do not look like they expected. This can also lead to mental health issues such as body dysmorphia, anxiety, and depression. So this study utilized a systemic review to analyze comprehensive study over the topic. Databases including PubMed, Scopus, and Google Scholar were sourced using keywords such as Brazilian butt lift, social media, Black women surgical procedures, Black women and Brazilian butt lift and diet, and Black women mental health outcomes. So let's go over the research questions for this study. The primary research questions guiding this study are, first, what are the diet-related outcomes of the Brazilian butt lift procedure? What are the scientifically related outcomes of the Brazilian butt lift procedure? And what are the psychological related outcomes of the Brazilian butt lift procedure, specifically in Black women? So I sourced my first article, The Psychological Effects of BBL Dissatisfaction, Navigating Body Image and Mental Health. And I picked up a couple key points from this article. So the article highlights that 70% of women and 40% of men report being dissatisfied with their bodies, as these changes have the ability to affect body image. The importance of comprehensive counseling pre-op cannot be overlooked. This stage is key in order to avoid post-surgery regret that can come from expectations not being met or unforeseen circumstances. This can also help combat symptoms of body dysmorphia, a disorder common in patients that experience this post-surgical dissatisfaction. It's crucial to set realistic goals with your surgeon, understanding that 70 to 80% of the transferred fat survives long-term. That means that there is a small portion that will die off long-term with your body growing and you getting older and things like that. It's also important to understand the recovery process and what it entails to avoid any unwarranted surprises. Patients cannot sit directly on the buttocks for up to 2 months and should instead sleep belly side down. For a lot of these new patients, it's become evident that a lot of women seeking this procedure aren't acknowledging the potential risk of the surgery, including complications, the need for ongoing maintenance, and are instead seeking this out due to the way social media has shaped these new body ideals. For the example, I feel like it's not even really that well known that patients can't even sit directly on their buttocks for about 2 months. This just goes to show that social media doesn't always paint the full picture. And if this is something you want to do for yourself, You need to make sure you have all the facts about what you're getting yourself into. For my second article, I sourced an article called "I'm Still Insecure: How Black Women Really Feel About BBL Surgery." And I picked up a couple points from this article too. So first, the effects of social media. Social media has its own opinions on the surgery. Some ridicule the caricature that comes with the shape of the body following the surgery, critical of the choice to go under the knife for a body type trend. Some real statistics: between 2015 and 2019, the number of butt augmentation surgeries in Black patients increased by 56%. With this number, 1 in 3,000 BBLs have resulted in death. Societal pressure. Women use the surgery to get rid of the insecurities ingrained in us by society. There's a certain beauty standard of the hourglass body, characterized by a tiny waist and large buttocks. Black women especially may be undergoing the knife to align with the standard that has now become the societal norm. In post-op regret. Others think that women may regret their choice to undergo the surgery, especially with the plastic surgery reversals that have been on the rise with celebrities such as Kim Kardashian and Blac Chyna. So this kind of concluded that there is a general societal pressure for Black women to look a certain type of way. Again, we see this in our movies and we see this in our music, and it can have a negative mental health impact on Black women that do not look this expected way. With this complex journey that comes with the surgery and the after effects that follow, women could experience this post-operative regret. This could come from things like unnatural results, a change in the way that people view you based on your body, and this lack of research preceding the surgery. So to discuss, conclude, and wrap up a little bit, my recommendation for patients seeking the surgery would be pre-op and post-op counseling. This would help identify any existing mental health disorders by trained professionals and reroute patients that may be seeking out the surgery for the wrong reasons for different avenues, such as consistent therapy or support groups. There's a plethora of misinformation out there as it relates to strictly working out as a mean to fit the thick ideal. A lot of young girls are confused that they follow these influencers' workout routines, but they still aren't looking like they see these other girls do. I would say if this surgery is truly something that you feel like you want to do for yourself, work to find a board-certified plastic surgeon experienced in this type of specific procedure and avoid high-volume budget clinics to reduce the risk of post-operative regrets and any side effects that may follow. And that's all I have for my presentation today. Thank you guys so much for listening and tuning in. And hear any references for anything you heard throughout this presentation.
Amanda, I do have some questions.
Yes,
I don't know
ma'am.
if you could hear me.
Oh, no, I couldn't. I don't think I could.
When you were doing this research, can you share with us some of the things, what was happening, especially with women outside going to Florida to have this research, and what were some of the issues? Can you give us some little bit more technical component of what was happening?
Yeah, so as I touched on a little bit earlier in my articles and in my discussion and conclusion, I said that if you do want to seek out the surgery, you do want to avoid these high volume clinics, these high budget clinics, because especially in areas like South Florida where this procedure is really popular and it's really on the rise, a lot of these women are taking some shortcuts to cheapen out the surgery a little bit. A good Brazilian butt lift can run you anywhere from 10,000 plus. So a lot of these women that can't afford a surgery fee that high kind of cut corners towards these higher volume budget clinics that exist a lot in the Florida area. And these were hotspots for a higher risk of mortality because it showed that a lot of these surgeons that were doing the procedure were not fully experienced. They were not board certified plastic surgeons. The experience was lacking. So this led to further complications like improper fat transplants, injecting in improper veins that cause instant mortality. And what a lot of these budget clinics do is they get as many patients in a day as they can to make as much money as they can. So they're not really going through the proper pre-op and post-op channels for these patients. So a lot of these patients do come out with results that they're not impressed with, results that they don't like. and it causes this is where you see a lot of these shows like Botched and stuff. I don't know if you've heard of shows like that, but a lot of these women are coming from these high volume budget clinics. So yeah, as I kind of touched on in my conclusion, if this is a surgery that you feel like you want to continue in, it's really important to do your research, make sure the surgeon that you're going to really knows what they're doing, and to avoid clinics like this that kind of just bustle patients in without really going through the proper channels of what needs to be done for surgery like this.
Thank you so much. Can you provide some and I remember in our discussion, there were some complication, like if the fat is not placed the right place, and there could be result of heart attack. What are some of the issues that are found when the procedure is not done properly?
Yeah, so like you said, heart attacks, fat embolisms, veins rupturing, and yeah, like you said, worst case scenario, instant mortality. If the fat is transferred into any veins that are incorrect, again, with the surgeon not knowing what they're doing, the patient can die right there on the table. So that is worst case scenario, what can happen. But you can have varicose veins, uneven fat transfers. You could come out with one cheek a little bit more inflated than the other cheek. So there is a lot of complications and mistakes that can arise with the surgery. So again, that's why it is really important to find a surgeon that does know what they're doing, because again, like some of the results touch on, 1 in 3,000 BBLs have resorted in mortality from this incorrect fat transfer. And transferring this fat into one wrong vein going up your buttocks can result in this instant mortality. So again, that's why I really drive the point home that if this is a surgery that you want to involve yourself in, it's really important to do your research and make sure the surgeon does know what they're doing, because these results are not, they're not redoable. You can't go back. So that's why it is very important to make sure the surgeon knows what they're doing.
Thank you so much, Amanda. I appreciate you. I'm going to yield to Lorraine to share her research and looking at women's health. Thank you so much. I yield my mic.
Can't wait. Thanks, guys.
Hello, everybody. I am Lorraine Martin, and today we're going to be exploring the idolization of the hourglass figure within Black women. Just as a disclosure, this presentation is based on peer review articles and not opinions. So just a quick introduction to waist trainers. By definition, it's a tight-fitting garment that is designed to compress your waist and create an hourglass figure. So voluptuous on the top, skinny in the middle, and voluptuous on the bottom, right? It has been popularized by influencers and celebrities. And the common materials that it's made out of is metal boning for structure, latex or elastic compression. And the primary use is for instant slimming effects, aesthetic reasons, or postural support. Now, I'm going to tell you the short-term effects of waist trainers. So the short-term effects of waist trainers include breathing problems, digestive issues, a weakened core and back muscles, and circulation problems. Breathing problems come from the compression and it reduces your lung capacity. When your lung capacity is reduced, you will see signs of dizziness, shortness of breath, and oxygen intake reduction. For digestive issues, because it's so tight, it can cause acid reflux, heartburn, and hinder your stomach function. Um, the reliance of waist trainers can weaken your back and abdomen muscles, causing poor posture and back pain after use. And tight compression can reduce blood flow, potentially causing numbness and blood clots, right? So it's marketed completely different than what the actual short-term effects are. I'm going to give you a healthier alternative for waist trainers. First, exercise. Strength training and aerobic exercise help burn fat and tone muscles. So instead of using the waist trainer for compression, which only gives you short-term effects, um, at least 30 minutes of exercise a day, in strength training, including strength training and aerobic exercises, helps you burn your fat and tone your muscles. Have a balanced nutrition. A diet rich in fiber, lean proteins, and whole foods support weight management and improvement of posture. By strengthening your core muscles with your strength training, that gives you a better posture without external compression. Now that I just gave you an overview of what the waist trainers were, some of the short-term effects, I want to get into a specific case study. This case study does not include waist trainers, but it also includes a healthier alternative that is still currently being researched, right? So this case study is smart belt for waist circumference reduction. It's an evaluation of internet-based interventions on waist circumference reduction. The objective of this was to investigate if wearing a smart belt can reduce waist circumference through real-time feedback on posture activity and eating habits. The participants were people wearing the smart belt consistently for a predetermined time. And just for reference, the picture on top is a smart belt. It's right on your abdomen. It's not too tight with compression. And it's just simply tracking your eating behaviors and how much exercise and physical activity that you do. On the bottom left and right are waist trainers. So as you can see, men and women do use waist trainers, right? And it's compressing and clenching your waist to look very short, like and petite. And like we talked already, those come with health complications, which include breathing problems. And majority of the time, you see these two people on the bottom have workout clothes. So people are going to the gym with these waist trainers on, which is essentially causing breathing problems and reducing your lung capacity. So I'm gonna tell you about the smart belt features and the results of the study. The smart belt features, it tracks your posture to see how straight you're standing up, which was something that they said that waist trainers do, but it's just tracking it, right? It tracks your waist circumference and it provides feedback on your eating and exercise habits. The key findings from this was that it was moderate reduction in waist circumference over time. It wasn't a instant thing like it's being marketed for the waist trainers. This was something that happened over time. So as they ate right, they kept their posture straight, and they exercised and they formed those habits. Over time, they did see a reduction in their waist circumference, which is the ultimate end goal that everybody wants, right? With that, they seen a behavioral change based on real-time feedback, such as better eating habits and improved posture, because the belt is tracking what you're doing. So when people figure out that something is tracking what they're doing, they're more susceptible to changing their behavior, which includes their eating habits and their posture, right? And it increased their physical activity due to greater awareness of movement. The more you move, the more you wear the belt, the more you're aware of it. And like I said previously, it changes your behavior. So instead of maybe having a less active lifestyle, when you wear the belt, it makes you want to get up, it makes you want to move, it makes you want to reach for the whole grains, it makes you want to eat for more fiber. So even though the study is great, there are advantages and there are limitations on the smart belt, and I want everybody to be aware. The advantages of the smart belt was that it encourages behavioral modification without physical compression. So, like I said, with the waist trainers, you're seeing the physical compression, which is limiting you. But with the smart belt, like you've seen, it's just a tiny belt that sits on your abdomen and it doesn't physically hinder you. It improves posture and promotes more movement throughout the day. Instead of having something that's physically making you sit up straight, is a sign of a reminder. It's a reminder that hey, you have this belt on, it's also tracking your posture. Let me make sure that I'm very intentional with the way I'm standing. And the limitations is that it was no control group to compare results. It was a short-term study and the long-term effects are unclear because it was a short-term study and individuals varied in responses because everybody's body is different. But with time, there was waist circumference reduction. Just for some conclusion and takeaways, waist trainers provide temporary effects, but it does come with health risks. The Smart Belt offers an alternative approach to waist reduction through behavioral modification. In the long term and for long-term health, sustainable changes in waist sizes are best achieved through exercise, healthy eating, and posture improvement. I just want to give a disclosure that smart belts are still being researched for the long-term effects because the study was a short-term study with a predetermined time. But with the short-term study, they did see improvements in people's waist circumference and health. Thank you for listening. Any questions?
Of course, I have questions here. Can you talk to us about the long-term effect of the waist trainer? You talk about the breathing issue. You talk about the impact of the GI tract being impacted. But can you talk about what would that do to your core and the other implications that so our audience could really understand they need to think about why when they're making their decisions?
So yeah, things are marketed for certain things, but they have the complete opposite effect. So when I was doing my research, I was seeing that it's marketed like, hey, this is going to help your core, this is going to do this, but the complete opposite. The more you wear the waist trainer, the weaker your core gets because it's more reliant on the extreme pressure that the waist trainer is providing. So I see a lot of people market it as a tool for the gym. Wear this in the gym, it's gonna get your waist snatched. That's the language that they use. But the exact opposite is happening because you're going to the gym, you're working out. That's an aerobic exercise, and it's clenching your waist so that your lungs are not working at its best capacity, and also you're working out your abdomen, but it's already relying on the waist trainer so much that you're not building those core muscles how you think you are.
So why is it important to assure us that we strengthen our core muscles? Why is that important? How does that impact your posture or any other things? So go ahead and share that with us.
So yeah, I don't know if anybody has ever went to physical therapy, but one of your most important muscle is your core muscle. That's how you move, right? You can't move around without your core muscles being strengthened. It's certain things that you do throughout your day that you don't even think twice about because you have your core muscles. So if those are getting weaker, because of over reliance on a waist trainer, that's just not good for you to go throughout your day. You're gonna see your posture decline, more slouching, you're gonna, it's gonna be hard to sit in the chair essentially. So that's why core muscles are really important.
Thank you so much, Lorraine and Amanda. Would anybody like to ask some additional questions of our panelists? I yield my mic.
Oh, yes, I do. Good thing you said that because the other day I was convicted of wearing a waist trainer and I was like, you know what, this don't feel comfortable. I want to move, but it's restricting my waist if I'm doing like abdomen exercise or anything. It's constricting my waist from like bending or it's so tight. I was like, I can't do this. So, thank you for touching base on that. And how do you get that little belt? Where would you able to get that belt from?
Yeah, so I would look on Amazon. Amazon has everything. Or it should be at maybe Dick's Sporting Goods, one of the sporting stores, or Walmart. But it just depends on what brand you're looking for. There's multiple brands out there. If you look up smart belt technology for physical activity, it will show you two types of smart belts. One is an actual, like it looks like a belt, And then one is the one that I showed you in the presentation that goes onto your skin.
Thank you.
Of course.
We have a question from Andrea. What are good exercises to reduce belly fat?
Now, I'm not a trained professional. So I could just tell you what I'm doing. I'm currently training for a 5K. I'm not a trained professional, but a lot with reducing fat comes a lot of cardio first, and then like you see your crutches for your abdomen and stuff to tone it. So you start with things that get your heart rate up, and those exercises, like I skip rope, that gets your heart rate up and that also burns fat. And then I do core exercises like crutches or I forget what it's called, but it's like you hang on a bar and you swing your legs up and you control your movement.
The leg raises.
Yeah, them leg raises really
Yeah.
burn.
Yeah, that works for the lower body, the lower belly fat.
Yeah, with lower belly fat, um, the deep core exercises are better.
I have a question.
Let me help answer that question for you. One of the things that you have to do is you have to do some cardiovascular exercise, right? And then in doing some cardiovascular to get the heart rate, then we could work on the core muscles. So there are some weightlifting that you could do to do some core muscle. I had a muscle exercises that you could do. There are some when you are lifting weight, especially at least that's what I got from my trainer. When you are lifting weight, you want to start with if you're doing your legs, leg exercise, and you're alternating legs, arms throughout the week. But you always want to take the time to do some specific core exercise using. I wish I could demonstrate for you, but for example, what I used to do is I would take the weight, holding it in my hand, making sure that my back is nicely aligned, and I'm on the floor and I'm doing the twist. I'm twisting with
the Russian twist.
Yes, and I don't use big weights, so I'm not that one that's going to tell you get a 15 pound. No, I'm not doing that really small, and I'm twisting it, and I'm doing a set of 30 3 times. I'll do 30, 30, 30, and I'll do that, and then I'll put that down, and I'll just lay straight, and I use my weight again to lift up, and then simultaneously trying to lift up my legs so that way I could improve and enhance my core. And one of the things I want to share with you is consistency. I used to think like, oh, I'll do it once a week for a couple of weeks and I should see results. You want to see results, we got to do it consistently. And the other thing is we got to make sure that we're eating right and drinking our water and increasing our fitness, our fiber intake to improve our nutritional health. I'm going to yield my mic to anybody else who may have a question.
I actually have a question. So for those who have already received BBLs, what advice would you give them? Hearing, it could be someone who will hear this and they're saying, oh my, I did this. What can I do now? What would you say, or how could you influence or encourage them in some way?
Oh yeah, again, me too. Like Rain said, I'm not a trained professional, so this is just based off research. But I mean, I would say it would just depend on how the BBL is just kind of moving along as you age. If you went to a good surgeon and you got your pre-op, your post-op counseling, you got your checkups and everything looked good, everything was on track, then I would say just keep up with your maintenance, follow your surgeon's care plan for you. And like I had stated in some of my research, it is important to have realistic expectations of what you're getting out. Again, only 70 to 80% of the transferred fat does survive long term. So that means there is a chance of 20 to 30% of the fat not really lasting as long as some patients seem that they want it to. But that again, that kind of ties in back to social media. I feel like you really cannot believe everything you see. Maybe you see some influencers posting about their BBL 10 years down the line. It looks like this and this. Again, take everything you see with a grain of salt. Social media only shows you the surface level, what you want to see. So as long as you're keeping up with what you need to do, keeping up with your weight maintenance, keeping up with, again, anything from your church's care plan, keeping up with your diet and nutrition, then everything should be good. And again, with the post-op regret that might come down the line for some patients, like we did talk about, there are options for BBL reversal, anything like that. So again, just talk to your surgeon, see if there's anything you can do, but as long as you're maintaining it as well as you should be and following your care plan, then everything should be good with that.
So, but I would like to also add that the issue of maintenance is a high level of consistency, because one of the things that I read about the BBL, that you have to also maintain the weight that you went in to get the BBL. So the moment you start gaining weight, there is a significant impact. So, and then that there's that continuous need for maintenance. There are people that have gained weight, and I have to tell you, we make jokes in the science world, but fat spread. So the more you gain weight, the more it's going to increase, and it's going to look disproportional. So, and one of the things they're not telling you is the continuous maintenance of it, because they have the financial resources to continue that maintenance, and the individual that do not. The problem with the fact that if you got to maintain your weight, you may actually end up having eating disorder, or as a result of the fact that you are continuously trying to maintain this weight. Cutting down your diet may actually lead to nutritional deficiencies. You may actually need to end up being malnourished because you're trying to maintain weight. The weight you were when you were in your 20s is different from you in your 50s, right? Because you have Black women doing this out in their 40s and their 50s. There's going to be a significant impact. And Minda talk about the going to make sure that you go to a clinic that's reputable, a clinic that have the individual with the skill and the know-how, the experience. But one of the things that they're not doing the psychological piece. I do think that women are forgetting that they are fearfully and wonderfully made. They are God designed. They were designed to be a certain way. When you try to alter it and change it in a way that could be significantly, it actually could lead to other health complications. So when we talk about the waist trainer, as it's tightening your body significantly, it may actually lead to what? It may actually lead to other GERD or GI complication, having chronic constipation, or having chronic health issues. So all these factors need to be considered as people are making decisions about altering their bodies, not knowing that what God has already put together is already perfect. I yield my mic for the next person.
The mental health component going into this, can we talk a little bit about that, with the level of self-esteem, and is there counseling, pre-counseling, post-counseling, to, is there a certain time before they actually get the procedures done that they should be talking to someone before, during, and after?
Based on Amanda's research, we are not seeing that. There's no discussion happening in relationship to women seeking emotional counseling as to why they're feeling this societal pressure. We're not seeing that. But what we are saying that as ministers like you, Andrea, an individual like Pastor Jackie, that are into a health field or into fitness or know the word of God, we need to really talk to our young women, because we are seeing that in young women. We need to talk to our young people to talk about that God made them perfect. We need to talk about how they live their life and how having good, healthy habits. Because what we are seeing is that if we do not have these things in place, it's going to lead to, if we don't have the mental health piece in place, we are going to have this disaster that we are seeing. We are seeing a lot more, we're not seeing as much death, but we're seeing other complications. So yes, there's a critical need to incorporate mental health training, mental health issues. These individuals that are doing this surgery should include it. But for the most part, sometimes they're not thinking about that. They're thinking about the bottom line. But it's up to us to get the word out there. If that's something that we want to do, we want you to also consult a therapist, to talk to someone to help you see the fact that you're fearfully and wonderfully made. I see Andy Schaefer just walking. Is that Lawrence?
Yeah, I'm on my boss's Zoom account.
Okay, so Lawrence is a fitness person. He's gonna give us some more insight about keys and ways to improve our physical fitness and to minimize the belly fat that some of us have and want to get rid of, and how to do it more effectively. Lawrence, I yield to you.
All right, 1 second. I had to run up the stairs to. Oh, 1 quick second. Let me catch my breath.
You had to run up the stairs and you were fitness?
I mean, I was trying to make sure I make it to the meeting. And work. Whew. All right, I'll give me 3 seconds. Have a breathe, and I'm gonna be ready.
So just so you guys know, Lawrence is not only a fitness instructor, the master's in exercise physiology, but he's also he's getting ready to be Dr. Turner soon in the next couple of weeks. So we're excited for him. So go ahead, Lawrence. You caught your breath?
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm a little out of breath, but I'm still good.
All right. Are you able to get on camera?
Hold on 1 second. Let me go to a little space. All right. Good morning, everybody. So I was listening to the presentation on the BBL, and I actually wanted to speak on that because I actually have documented evidence and footage of everything I'm about to say. In 2014, when I was graduating with my undergrad in nutrition, I did a big fitness event. And it was really big because at the time, the two most popular social media influencers and I teamed up in Houston to do the first social media type of event, which is why we see so many fitness influencers today realize they can travel. We were the first to do it. The two people we did it with, which you can look up now, the first lady's name is Brittany Renner, aka Bundle of Brittany. She was the first big IG model, and the second was Janelle Salazar. So we're doing the event. It's a beautiful event. Everything's going great. Now, at the time in 2014, getting your body done was not that prevalent. So people were new to just even the thought of it. Again, social media was still fairly new. So we're all sitting on the ball at the end of our boot camp and we're taking questions. And the woman Janelle had a gluteus maximus that was very big, I will say. And when the ladies at the camp were asking her, "Oh, how do we get our glutes the way yours does?" She says, "Well, if you do 500 squats a day, then you can achieve what I have." Now, because it was the getting your body done at BBLs was still fairly new in 2014, nobody really thought if she actually was natural or not. Some people had speculated of they were calling it booty shots back in the day, and people were asking, "Did you do that?" She said, "No, this is all natural, all homegrown, so and so." And she's from Atlanta, Georgia, so nobody questioned it. I didn't question it because I was very fit and I didn't lift any weights. All I would do was push-ups. So, anyways, a few years later, I get a link sent to me, and I think it was about 2017, 2018. And it was a show called The Doctors. And it's still on YouTube to this day. And my friend said, "Isn't that the young lady that was speaking at your event?" I said, "Yeah, let me watch it." And she said, "I lied to everyone. I did get my body done, and I was getting to a place where it was about to cost me my life because the procedure, I guess, wasn't done accurately or something of that nature." And again, I can attach the link to speak on it. So when I heard one of the presenters speaking on if it's not done correctly, the side effects, well, back then, because it wasn't even, I guess maybe people weren't as many certified surgeons in that field yet. A bad procedure happened to her, and they had to show the whole process of her having to get things removed from the body and having to it just took a very huge toll on her body. And I think that speaks on a couple things. One, I think it is important that we're telling people what's actually realistic to achieve with their body, because unfortunately it led to so many people. Again, this event touched it touched hundreds of thousands of people that saw this event thinking that this was a realistic body to achieve. And now we're looking at comparison, which obviously we should just be happy in the image that God created us in, because he makes no mistakes. And that's what happens sometimes, is you might be comparing yourself to someone who didn't accomplish what you accomplished naturally. So that was one huge factor, is just understanding that in the health industry, it's just important that we do the best that we can do. And I'll talk about a few things that we just naturally understand to do. And it's information that we can find on the World Health Organization, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. But as long as, for the most part, we're understanding that we're consuming 3 to 5 servings of fruits and vegetables, trying to naturally get our whole grains, making sure we're implementing leafy green lettuces. And when it comes to exercise, staying active to some degree and not sedentary every day, then at minimum, you will have a body that I believe is just healthy. From there, we can incorporate different types of training, different types of resistance training, including weight training, Pilates. We can include CrossFit if that's something you're into, and that can slowly mold your body. But also, it's important that we're happy with ourselves without looking at what other people could potentially have, maybe through their genetics or maybe through something else. I will say that in 2020, I suffered from comparison, because I will say that even though I was knowledgeable of who God was, I was not, I would say, I was not confident enough in myself to say, oh, I'm fine the way I am. And I was on social media all the time, and I was looking at influencers who could squat 500 pounds, 600 pounds, and I started to doubt myself. I started to think, wow, maybe I'm not doing enough. Maybe I'm not strong enough. Maybe I'm not. I was just really having, I won't say depression, but a little bit, because I felt as if, how am I supposed to be this fitness guy and I can't do what these other guys are doing? But then now in 2023, 2024, I'm more knowledgeable about steroids, and I'm seeing the effects now that it has on people. And I'm glad I stayed natural, because I'm not going through those things. And now these people have to come out and speak about certain stuff. So when people take steroids, I'm not sure if anybody here is knowledgeable on it, but what's going to happen is it's going to improve your muscle content. But how the human body works is, we don't just have muscles, we have to have tendons and ligaments that aid in movement. So when you are inflating your muscles but not your connective tissue, we're seeing lots of injuries. In addition to that, nobody talks about how expensive it is to do steroids or things of this nature. Where now that I've talked to people who do it, they will say, hey, it is an expensive drug. You're looking at spending anywhere from good quality steroids, thousands of dollars a month, which, if it's your sport, then that's what you have to do. Bodybuilding is a sport that requires steroids. But if it's not, these people are starting stuff and not understanding the long-term effects that it has on your heart, it has on your muscle, your bone density, and everything of that nature. So I think one of the biggest things is understanding that our body is a temple. There's a reason why God says that, and we should treat it as such. And to do the best we can with what we have and the knowledge we have, versus trying to see what other people are doing. Because as much as there's a statement that we typically believe others are similar to ourselves. So if, as children of God, we believe we're honest, we're truthful, and we're forthcoming, we sometimes project that to other people and think, oh, well, they're honest and truthful. But the reality is, a lot of these people that we see with a lot of influence are liars. And we have to take that into consideration. So we're not trying to do something to our bodies that God didn't want us to do in the first place. Sorry for the long spiel.
Thank you, future Dr. Turner. Tell me this. What are some of the things that you would recommend in terms of number of hours of physical fitness? Are there some numbers, or can I just do 10 minutes a day and be okay? How do I improve my cardio and respiratory health to fitness? What are some of the tips that you could give to us today?
So the first thing, yeah. So the first thing is, just in general, is recognizing that doing nothing is not a good answer. And not everybody has a schedule to maybe meet the requirements, of what's recommended. For those who want to know, you can either do, if I'm not mistaken, it's 2 hours of low intensity exercising throughout the week, which equates to about 30 minutes of walking a day, 7 days a week. You can do moderate intensity training, which can include cycling at a low heart rate. It includes jogging. It can be playing with your kids, or you can do 75 minutes of vigorous intensity training throughout the week, which looks to about 15 to 20 minutes of intense, hard intensity interval training, such as, I'm not sure if anybody remembers Insanity, which was a very extraneous workout, or P90X, or weightlifting. But for the average person that says, hey, because I'm sure a lot of us have busy schedules, for the average person that doesn't have a lot of time, I actually had someone come into the gym yesterday and say, I don't have this much time. I said, well, you're in the DMV, correct? I said, do you have a parking lot or parking garage that you have to park in for your job? He says, yes. I said, what you need to start doing is get to your job maybe 15 minutes earlier. And wherever the furthest parking spot is from your entry, because I know it's open, nobody wants to park there. I said, park on the highest level and the furthest away. So off top, you're going to get at least 15 minutes of walking, getting to the entrance of your job, and 15 minutes going out, and you have to take the stairs. So now we're incorporating a little bit of low intensity training with the walking, a little bit of moderate intensity with the walking, up the stairs. So we're looking at that component. But more than anything, you have to figure out something that you actually enjoy. Oftentimes, people make exercising a chore, which makes it not sustainable, and they end up basically stopping because they just can't sustain what they're not enjoying. So I always say, let's experiment with things. Let's try walking. And if walking is too easy, let's try jogging. One thing I always recommend to people, especially as we're getting older in age, is to walk backwards and jog backwards. Because one is going to burn more calories than walking forward and jogging forward. And also, what happens is when we walk, our heel goes first and then our toe. So that's naturally the motion of our walking stride. But when you walk backwards, the toe comes first. And what happens is when you go heel toe, when you're walking forward, it first puts pressure on the ankles, then the knees, then the hips, then the back. And over time, you're going to feel your body just breaking down more and more. Whereas when you're walking backwards, your toe, when it hits first, it makes the calf absorb all the shock. And now you're working your muscle more than working your bones and your connective tissue. From there, when you walk backwards, you have to now pick your heel up, and now you're engaging your hamstrings more. So the reason why you're burning more calories when you walk backwards is because your muscles are doing more work versus just falling forward and catching yourself, which is essentially what you're doing when you're walking forward. Um, Swimming is very low intensity, or not low intensity, it's moderate to high intensity, but it's low impact on the spine. It's low impact on a lot of our bones and our joints. I would say that in general, just finding something that does get the heart rate up, not to a place where you're uncomfortable, but something that you're doing consistently over time is going to lead to any form of health improvements. But the key is just saying, I'm going to do something. Whereas I will ride my bike to the bus station a couple stops later just to make sure I get a little bit of extra cardio, since during this phase of my life, I have very little time to exercise the way I want to.
That's what you get for working on a PhD. But the other question is, what happened to individuals that experience like plantar tightness? Like they have their plantars is tend to be have inflamed. What some exercise can they do to help minimize that or improve that rather than taking medication? What would you recommend?
Yeah, I would always say that depending on what's hurting, one of the best forms of exercise is always going to be water exercises for sure, because you're going to be able to do a lot of resistance training in the water. And again, you have to get comfortable with the water. I understand some people have huge fears of the water, but if you can get in there, if you just try running forward in the water, running backwards, sideways, water aerobics, um, those are going to be exercises that are going to definitely be easier on the body, but still incorporate the body to grow in strength. So that's definitely something. And I would say that I'm not sure where anybody lives, but thank, thank, um, thank you to Dr. Castor. I was referred to a adjunct position at Prince George Community College. And one thing they have there is something called STAGE, which, if I'm not mistaken, stands for Seniors Aging Growing Education. So what they do is they allow seniors to come in and basically take the class of exercise fitness for free and also be able to work out for free. And that includes stuff such as water aerobics. I literally went in to see, literally, I think it was about 50 people over the age of 60 inside of a pool, just doing different movements in the water. So they were still getting their exercise to some degree.
We're not senior citizen. Don't play us.
I don't know how old anybody is in here. I haven't met anybody yet. I was just offering
Don't play us. You know me, so
I
stop
know
it.
I wasn't talking to you.
So, all right. So, what about the notion of 30 minutes per day? Can I do 10 minutes at and for breakfast, lunch, and dinner? Can I divide it like that and do 10 minutes? And I do that 6 days a week. Would that help me in terms of maintaining an active lifestyle?
It was actually preferred to break up your exercises throughout the day. Think about it from an eating perspective. Let's say someone has to take 2,000 calories in a day. We would never recommend that you take all 2,000 calories in at once. It's going to be hard for your body to take on that much food at once. But naturally, when you kind of break it down throughout the day, then your body is going to absorb it better and your body is going to respond to it better. Same thing with a exercise standpoint. When we break it out throughout the day, it allows your nervous system to recover. So, for example, I'm not sure if anybody just ran a full blown sprint. If you run a full blown sprint and then you rest for 5 seconds to do another full blown sprint, you're just taxing your body. But if you do a full blown sprint, wait a few hours and then do it again, the way they do at track meets, you're able to recover and be able to get more out of your training when you're doing it. So I would definitely highly suggest that if you can break up your workout throughout the day, it's better, because it's not good to say I'm going to work out for 30 minutes and sit down and just be sedentary for 23 hours and 30 minutes for the rest of my day. Whereas if you just get up every 10 minutes and do something, then the body's going to respond to it better in general.
Got it. Thank you so much. Let me check the audience if they have. So it says, don't forget to stretch and you'll be in pain again. So talk about stretching real quick. And then talk about good exercise to reduce belly fat while you're at it.
I got you. So to address the stretching one first, it is important that as we get older, we are mobilizing. And I always do this example in any presentation. If I ask someone to put their arm out and to touch their shoulder, they'll only be able to go so far. So that's called mobility. Whereas if I, oops, if I press it down, I'm able to do a little more range of motion. That's flexibility. So both are essential to health, but mobility typically does lead to strength improvements with your flexibility, because flexibility could be caused by a lack of muscle mass, whereas mobility allows us to grow muscles while we're becoming flexible. So I would always tell people to make sure that they're mobilizing and doing flexibility training daily. But in addition, make sure you're warmed up before doing so, because if not, it could lead to injury. A muscle that's warmed up and put under pressure is more susceptible to injuries compared to a muscle that's not warmed up. So that's the first thing, is just doing stretches that you're knowledgeable of. The beauty is YouTube is free and there's so many follow along stretch videos. I even made a stretching video that you can follow along with calming and peaceful music that I can always send the link to people if they want. And regarding,
we want it. We want it.
Matter of fact, I'll do it right now. And would you like me to put that in the chat?
Yes, please.
All right. Here we go. Share video, copy link. Here we go.
So while he's doing that, just want you to know that he's also a vegan chef. He's part of our cookbook, Complete Nutrition. I don't want any more salad. So he actually did all the recipes for the African American section, the fried cauliflower, the baked cauliflower, the mac and cheese, the vegan mac and cheese. So they all come from Levin's over here. So that's good. So we have the link. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead and talk about.
So the last thing I'll say, and then I got to get back to work right quick, but I wanted to share this with people regarding the exercises for reducing belly fat. So there's a myth that exercise is what does it, but the reality is it's our nutrition intake that's going to determine the size of our belly. So there's a saying that abs are not made in the gym, they're made in the kitchen. And that's a real statement, because what happens is oftentimes we see women more than men train their abdominal region more often, and they end up not having the look that they desire. Here's the reason that you can't target fat reduction. So if I decided to work out my abs a lot, what'll actually happen is you'll get more of a blocky look because you're building muscle. So your natural body frame that might actually kind of go this way will now just go straight up and down and become real blocky because you're working the muscle out. Now, in general, anytime we're training with resistance and we're training with weights, what's going to happen is our body is going to increase its basal metabolic rate. So for anybody who's not knowledgeable on it, our basal metabolic rate is how many calories we burn when we're not doing anything for the most part. And that's how we burn the majority of our calories. And that's something that you can Google your exact basal metabolic rate. So I think mine's is I naturally burn 2,300 calories at rest. But what happens is when we do resistance training, not cardio training, but specifically resistance training, we increase our basal metabolic rate, which is how many calories we burn when we're not exercising. And the reason is because when our body has to recover, our muscles have to recover from these workouts, our body is naturally going to be taking in more oxygen throughout the day for recovery. And it does lead to an increase in basal metabolic rate, specifically when you sleep, thus leading to more fat breakdown when we're at rest. Our body is always going to either be breaking down carbs, proteins, or fat in our body. And which one it does is based upon a number of variables. But if you want to specifically increase how much fat your body breaks down, then I would always recommend to lift weights. This is why you often will see athletes eat horribly and still burn a ton of fat. It's because of the muscle mass that they put on. And the more muscle mass we have, it's more fat that's going to be burned, and they're kind of competing for a space in the body.
Thank you so much, Lawrence, and thank you so much, Amanda. Thank you for all the shared information. I know you have to go. I know you all have to go, but we really appreciate the fact that you took the time to come share this information with us. I took your YouTube link and posted in our chat as well so people could have access to it. Any last question for our panelists before we say thank you to them and then wave our goodbyes?
I did have a question, but it may take too much time to respond. So I'll maybe email it. I think Dr. Lawrence would be the one to actually answer that one. But we will we'll get back to it another time. But thank you all so much. This was amazing. Great information. You all are wonderful. I definitely wish you the best in everything that you're doing. And we must have you again.
Thank you all for having me. I enjoyed it.
Pastor Jackie, feel free to text your message to me and I'll forward it to Lawrence. And by the end of business day today, he'll have the answer for you. I see my sister Maria is here. Thank you. And Andrea, thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of this. While it's live, actually, it's live on YouTube. I'll be happy to get the link for you so you could hear the all of it later. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. We truly appreciate your presence. And this is something that we're doing about doing the health piece. We are here Monday. We are here every Saturday, actually, Monday to Friday, doing Bible study. We have a fellowship at 7:00 on Sundays, but we're also doing health panels and discussion at least once a month. So we'll keep you guys posted and keep you guys invited. Thank you, Amanda and Lorraine and Mr. Turner. Please forward all your paperwork to me so we can get the stuff going. And I'll be happy to invite you all to his defense because I think he's going to do a phenomenal job. So that's it. Everybody
Thanks, Chrissy, for your input.
Oh, yes, absolutely, Chrissy. I'm sorry. Thank you for being here as well. Everybody, thank you for being here. I really appreciate you all. Have a fantastic day. And Pastor Jackie, can you stay behind, please? Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, absolutely.
Have a great day, everybody.
Bye, guys.